God is omnipresent, indeed, nearer than the air. In, through, and as each and every person here, in, through, as this meeting of heart-mind, in, through, as this space, and each node in the Zoom, all around, in, through, as everything. God is that absolute love that binds the very cells, the very particles of the universe together. God is the love that binds the stars and the planets together in eternal rotation. God is that omniscience, that all-knowingness, that wisdom. And as I know this for myself, I know that God is here now, in, through, as me, around me, by me, through me, and in every space that I see and unsee. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each and every person here in this sanctuary Zoom room, in and through each area and place in the entire universe. I know that God is there. I know that God's omniscience comes in through as each one of us, and in through as our speaker today, Reverend Victoria, here and now in this space, speaking that beautiful omniscience, that word that is God. And that each and every person is here receiving that word and prepared to bring that word into the world around us, around them, and bring that light out into the world everywhere they go and with everyone they meet. I am knowing and trusting that this word received by each and every person will spread out through the universe in ripples of knowledge, of love, of wisdom. I am so thankful and grateful for these truths, for this absolute omniscience, this absolute omnipresence that is God in every person that every person meets, in every space that they go in, and everywhere. I release my word into the perfect action and order of the law, knowing it to be true, knowing it to be complete, knowing it to already be part of the weft and weave of this universe and beyond. And let us anchor and affirm this statement as a congregation all together here and now by saying, and so it is.
At Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont, we believe in spiritual living. Above all else, it is a philosophy that teaches us how to think and not what to think. We invite everyone to practice this philosophy by living in principle. We believe that God is all there is, and each person's relationship to God is a personal one. Every person, place, and thing, and all the space in between is not only an expression of God, but God itself. All love, peace, and beauty that is God exists within each person right now. Together we are all connected as one. Our faith allows us to apply this philosophy to our lives in every moment of every day. As we live in love, we see love revealed and flowing through the world around us. We act as citizens of this spiritual community at all times. This is how we think. We believe in God, we believe in ourselves, and we believe in you, because we believe in spiritual living. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont.
Hear Adrian's voice this morning, both on the introduction and also with the beautiful invocation. And Adrian Madden is also a newly minted professional practitioner here at Beaumont, and we're so proud of him, and we just celebrate that extra step of commitment that he's taken by accepting the call to be a professional practitioner. Good morning to everyone who is joining us now on Facebook, on YouTube, on all those platforms that are out there that still to me seem very magical, right? That we can connect in this way so powerfully. And for those of you who are joining us by Zoom as well. And we want you to be here in any way that you can. And right now, I know that some people are a little bit concerned about, well, you know, we're having to mask up again and all that kind of thing. So there might be some concern about that. But, you know, we don't make any judgment about what you're doing with your life. We just want everyone to be safe and protected. And that's the best way we know how. And as religious scientists, we believe in science, right? We believe in evidence, and we know that masks have been around for a long time, and they work. They are a barrier to passing different kinds of pathogens to other people. And, last year, we really saw a real downward spike in colds and flu because we're all wearing masks. Isn't that great? So we have some added benefits. It's not all gloom and doom. This is what we're doing, the action steps that we're taking to protect ourselves and our communities. And it's really a compassionate thing to do because now there are a lot of people who may have immune problems, they're immunosuppressed, or they may not be able to take a vaccine, or there may be other things going on in their life that are preventing it. And we are actually protecting them from the spread of the virus. So, I know that we have our different comfort levels, and that's why we make this available, the services available in every kind of way. We want you to be spiritually fed and to know that you are embraced fully by our community. And I'll say again, my name is Reverend Victoria Bomberry, and I am the Minister of Transformation at the Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. And, we're having a fantastic morning here. I've just been so thrilled with the music and the words of the wise and all of the energy that is present in this congregation. And, you are just the light of the world. And I am feeling it, and I am just receiving all of that, all of your love and energy as I'm up here on the podium. Today, I'd like to acknowledge the indigenous people of this area, the Cahuilla, the Serrano, and the Luiseño, whose territory that we reside on. And I honor and respect their rights to live as free people, to have all the rights of sovereign nations, the right to practice their religion, to develop their economies, to raise their children, to educate their children with full knowledge of who they are and their unique histories. I acknowledge this and the people with my full support and love. And many of you know that I am a Muskogee, and I always say we're Muskogee West, Muskogee Nation West, because there's so many Muskogee citizens who live here in California. But we have the Muskogee Creek Nation in Oklahoma, and that's where I was born and raised. And there's also people who resisted being moved, during the forced relocation of our people back in the 19th century. There were people who stayed. So we still have people in the Southeast who are a part of our nation. And I always want to acknowledge the right of the people whose land that we reside on. So I too am a visitor here in many ways because this isn't my ancestral homeland. And in the olden days, we may have just gone to the people and said, ask permission to be here, right? And that was a wonderful thing to do. So in this acknowledgement, that's what we're doing. We're acknowledging the people, we're acknowledging just their right to exist, their right to be here as well. So I'm always happy to do that. This month's theme is a pause for guidance. And last week, we had a lot of fun talking about play. And, I'm very playful. I like to play. I'd like to spend at least, I believe in recess, right? I really do. So even, I build it into my day when I'm working. And, I'll take a recess time. And I'll go walk around and take my dog out or, just do something, putter around with the plants. And I love to play. I just love it. And, it's so good for our spiritual, mental, and physical well-being to be playful and to play. And this week's talk is titled Sparking Inspiration. And we heard from Steve Harvey this morning, and he really sparked my imagination, right? It was so amazing to hear his journey, his spiritual journey. And, from a child who had an impossible stutter to the point he could not communicate, to his dream, his imagined career in television. He saw himself on television. And after this long journey, now we see him. All of us enjoy him on television now. And the second song that we listened to this morning, it was Fire from Heaven, and I've already mentioned it to the people who are here. Just how amazing just the song title and those lyrics are, just feeling that fire from heaven, sparking our imagination, because it is a divine gift. Our imagination is a divine gift. When we are in that imaginative mode, it does feel like a fire from heaven. It warms us up. It just builds that fire in the belly and that desire to see what we imagine come to life. With imagination, we can see the infinite potentiality that we have in this life. Some people use their imagination to create amazing works of art filled with all kinds of creatures, or even with imagination, you can imagine a viewpoint and express it that is unique, that has the power to change the world. So it can just be the way that you're viewing the world, and you speak it, and it plants a seed. Maybe something is appearing on the horizon that we can't make out, but it's our imagination starting to build something that will in turn spark our imagination to see it to the very end, to see what it actually looks like. So imagination is a gateway to changing our thinking, getting out of a rut, creatively solving a problem. How many of you have tried to solve a problem and you try the old way over and over again? Has anyone ever done that? Something that someone tells you, oh, you do it like this, and oh man, it just doesn't work. And then when you just sit back and quit the efforting, all at once something new and different will come your way. And you'll realize, oh, I can do it this way. And all at once, everything falls into place. That's the power of the imagination. John Lennon asked us to imagine all the people living life in peace. And I think most of us know that beautiful song, Imagine. And those are the lyrics from it. And he truly imagined that. He put those words out there. And it inspired generations of people to just set their intention on peace. Now let's take a deep breath. And let's imagine those lyrics coming to life. Imagine a world of peace where the world would live like everyone. What does your world of peace look like? What does it feel like? In my mind's eye, I see a place where people of every color and culture are enjoying a day in the park. There's good food, good times, sharing of all kinds, people playing basketball, and tons of kids with healthy imaginations having the time of their life. And I've experienced that peaceful place many times. And I know that that can be the reality that we live in always, right? If we can imagine it, we can see it, we experience a little bit of it, we get to know it, we can have that as the way that we live in this world. We are definitely in the zone when our imaginations are ignited. What we can imagine is possible to consciously create the kind of life we want to live. In the short Steve Harvey video clip, he reminds us that everything comes from the imagination. He says it's the evidence of things not seen. It is a preview of coming attractions. And I know that those of you who were watching with us this morning, I'm sure that stood out to you, that it's a preview of coming attractions. Isn't that just amazing? Harvey recognizes the imagination as a divine gift to humanity. And everyone without a doubt has a vivid imagination. Every single person in this room has a vivid imagination. There's not a single person who is without imagination. Everyone is imbued with the power to duplicate the creative nature of living spirit through imagination. And just as we did that brief pause to imagine what peace looks like, we got a taste of it, right? We got a taste of what it could look like. And I lead a Power of 8 group that is a part of the Spiritual Enlightenment and Truth Focused Ministry that's directed by Reverend Jerry Hobby. And we've been meeting for about, I think we're going on 5 years of meeting it together as a group. And we meet once a week, and we focus on areas that we have identified as crucial to peace. And we practice metta, which is the Buddhist loving kindness meditation. And we also do spiritual mind treatment in this Power of 8 group. And metta is, as I said, the Buddhist practice. It's something that was handed down by the Buddha, in which we cultivate compassion and love for ourselves and everyone. And through this practice, we have seen beautiful demonstrations of the power of imagination to magnify greater love in our relationships and with how we approach the world and the social issues that concern us. For example, over the past several years, we've become more aware of the killing of many African Americans and people of color. That's come to the forefront. And that's one of the areas that we focus on. And what we do, we focus on what we want the policing to look like. So we renamed, and we actually took this name from an old usage. We call the police peace officers. And we've imbued them with what we see as peace, right? What would be a real way for people who are in that profession to actually be peace officers, to be peace, to be stepping in service in a way that is uplifting, rather than damaging. And like I said, we've been in this peace group for about 5 years. So this isn't a new problem, but we finally gotten to the point where we have said we have to make a change, right? And yet we've been doing this meta, and I know that many, many people have joined in this idea that we have to recreate some of the ways that we live in the world so that we can have a peaceful life. And there's a growing movement, and I know that these seeds of peace that have been planted over many years are finally starting to grow. We're seeing programs in various cities across the United States that are reimagining, again, that operative word, reimagining what keeping the peace in their community might look like. And of course, everyone has a role to play. Some people have a team that is sent out. If it's an issue of, say, a mental health problem, they send out a social worker and a mental health worker along with police, and they handle the situation. And this is an imaginative way of working on problems and concerns that we have in our community. So imagination can be applied to every area of our life. We don't have to do it the old way, right? We can look at the preview of coming attractions. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, writes, "Creation is the play of life upon itself through divine self-imagination." And that's from the Science of Mind textbook, 131 and paragraph 6. We only have to look around us to see this. The other day I was looking at the Nautilus, which is a sea creature that uses jet propulsion to roam the ocean deep. Has anyone seen a Nautilus? Yeah, I see some people shaking their head. So the shell has many closed interior chambers or compartments that act like ballast tanks of a submarine. And then it has this capacity to move water and then squirt it out, and they get jet propulsion. They can go up, they can go down, they can go sideways, they can go forward. They have just this range of motion that is truly incredible. And it's kind of an odd-looking creature, and it's a distant cousin of the squid, octopus, and cuttlefish. So, and it's a very old creature. It's been around for more than 500 million years. Can you imagine this? This is imagination, right? That's divine imagination. And it's definitely the play of life upon itself. And I heard a lot of people chuckle when I said it had jet propulsion. Just think, that's a preview, right? That is what divine imagination, living spirit, imagined creating. And here it appears, right? Because the word is spoken and this delightful creature comes into being with all of these powers and properties, right? And just magic. And if I love the idea of the Nautilus, because if you look at the Nautilus, we can actually use it as a metaphor for the development of the soul, because, it starts in a spiral and it lays down. As it grows, it moves to another area, and that area is closed off, and it spirals. So it gets larger and larger, and the actual animal lives in the largest spiral. And that's how our soul is, right? We might start very, very small, and as we learn, we move to a different level, we move up, we move up, we move up. And yet we can still step back and look down that spiral, and I'm going to call it a staircase, and see all the wisdom and lessons that we've learned in life. So this is God's imagination at work, leaving us a reminder of who and what we are. We are these souls on this incredible journey of life. And, when we get into the more spacious areas, just imagine, we're freer, right? We're freer. We've learned all of this. And we're free to imagine even more. That's the promise. And, this kind of spiral that has a very specific mathematical pattern occurs in all kinds of things where things are, kind of unfold. So you see it in sunflowers. Again, one of my favorite, I love sunflowers. I've always loved them. I love the brightness of the yellow, and then I love the seeds. So I love the seeds, and they're laid down just like that, in the same mathematical pattern as the Nautilus. So we see this over and over again in nature. And just that's what the divine imagination did. It created this template, and this is how it is expressed in all kinds of places. It's how our DNA is laid down. Our DNA is also laid down in that exact same mathematical way. Amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. And, it's called the golden mean, right? Or the golden ratio of phi. The acts of imagination brought all of these elements together to make all of these wonders of the world. All of these wonders of the world. And that's pure mind, which is God, in action. Ernest Holmes says, the creative power responds to feeling more quickly than to any other mental attitude. And that's in the Science of Mind text, page 398, paragraph 4. Just as I mentioned, when we have the fire of heaven sparking our imagination, we soar. However, the quality of one's imagination can be affected if one is feeling disconnected from spirit. If one's thinking is agitated, anxious, separate, disconnected, or if our thoughts are dominated by thoughts of lack, limitation, or scarcity, or fear, right? Anxiety is kind of a species of fear, right? If we're fearful, if our these mental and emotional states stymie the spiritual truth of our being. Instead of the wholesome spark to the imagination, these thoughts can trigger imagining the worst possible outcomes. And have any of you ever fallen into the trap of catastrophizing? Something will happen, and then you go to the very, very worst outcome, right? Oh, at one point in my life, I thought, oh my God, if I lose a job, I'll become a bag lady. And, I can laugh now, but I did have that fear, It's like, oh my gosh, what will happen? I'll become a bag lady. But, that's where our imagination will go, right? And, we've experienced that this past year, right? When we're anxious, people started falling prey to a lot of misinformation and untruths that were being, thrown around out there. The very worst things, things that just seem preposterous. But people would fall into those patterns of belief because they were fearful, or they believed that there was, there was somebody out to get them in some way because of fear. So it does, we have a choice here. We can choose the wholesome path, right? Or we can be completely at the mercy of an untrained mind. And an untrained mind can lead us into some very deep, dark waters. So that's what we do when we do our spiritual practice. We are training our minds so that we stay in that place of pure imagination that is divine, that is the fire directly from heaven. And that's how we get all of these wonderful things in the world that we have, that have made our lives so much easier. Very simple things too, not just the complicated, but very simple things. Someone imagines it. Oh, this would make our life easier. And then they create it. And I know every single person in here has probably had an idea and then seen it go to market, right? And think, oh my gosh, why didn't I patent that and create it, right? But that's how it works. We are creatures of imagination. We really are. We have that divine gift. As a writer, I've hit the wall and often thought, oh man, I just have no inspiration at all. And the blank page will just stare at me from the, nothing's on it, right? Or now it's a blank screen, right? And it's just like, or I'll type one word and it's like, oh no, that's not the right one. And I'll throw it away. And I think, oh my gosh, I have no imagination. And it just goes on and on. And, I have to stop and I have to think, well, what's going on with me? And sometimes it's because I'm worried about the outcome of the piece, right? I'm worried about that. And then reveling in the actual creative process itself, which is playful and fun. When you're in that flow, and I know every single person has been in the flow at some point. If you're an athlete, you've gotten into the flow and you've just felt, your body just completely energized and sparked, and you're just running or playing or doing gymnastics or whatever your particular athletic gift is. And you just feel so good. And the same is true when you're in the flow in any way. And it's fun and wonderful. And sometimes for me, it means I just have to take a rest. Just take a break. Like I said, I build play into my life now. I don't run in. Sometimes if I feel like, I never say now, I have no imagination. I don't say that anymore. I just think, okay, well, take a break. It's not coming right now, but it will. I've had a preview of things to come, an idea that is percolating and probably needs to percolate a little bit more. So when I take a rest, I'm refreshed. Sometimes it requires that I work something out through journaling. Something might be holding me back. Maybe something triggered, an old thought triggered something. And I just need to work it out. I find the cause of my disconnect, and then I just write through it. And sometimes I find the cause by writing. And that in itself becomes the spark that ignites my imagination in a way that can illuminate something of the human experience. The more relaxed and happy I am, the more easily I enter the flow. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, Imagine carries with it a feeling and conviction, which means life and action. Science of Mind, page 600. Being connected to Source always, always, always gives true conviction, life, and then that desire to act. This week, add or amplify intention to be mindful and appreciative of your fertile and vivid imagination. It may mean you adjust, attune, and redirect your spiritual practices to include more imagination and creative expression. One of the things that I found I love doing when I'm feeling perfectionism creeping into my work, which always shuts down my imagination, is Zentangles. And it is a calming meditation. And the only rule involved in Zentangling is there are no mistakes. Isn't that great? And that's true of our life. Really, the things that we do, yes, we may have a misstep, but it's not the end of the world. It gets added into the pattern of our life. And that's what Zentangling teaches. It just becomes a part of that pattern. And this is what we can do for ourselves. So step it up this week. Do something that will spark your imagination. Listen to Steve Harvey again, right? Don't let, when you have a wonderful idea, don't let anyone dampen it. Find people, surround yourself with people who appreciate you and can allow you to dream big and live large. And so it is. That's abundance. That's abundance. So let's turn within. Let's take that deep breath. And just recognizing Spirit in this very moment. I'm so grateful for this knowledge that Spirit is right where I am and right where each and every person of this congregation is, and all the people who are tuning in from parts all over the world, maybe. We know that we are reaching people in their homes, maybe they're traveling, whatever people may be doing, we are a part of this whole. And we're understanding this in such a powerful way, knowing that we are one. We are one, united by the love of God. And I am knowing that we give great thanks for our imaginations, for it is a divine gift. And as we go through this week, every single person feels inspired by that spark of the imagination. It is delighting them. It is creating something wonderful in their life. And it is helping uplift the entire world. And I know this creative force that we are a part of, that is fueled by love, is ever creative, that we are a part and parcel of it. And each and every person has a role to play. And I'm grateful for this. I'm knowing that we are all well, we are reveling in the good, and I release my word into the action of the law, knowing it is done, and so it is.
Thank you for joining us for our Sunday service. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video on Facebook, YouTube, and any other social media you are a member of. To donate to CSL Beaumont, you can text GIVE to 951-420-6909, or you can visit our website at cslbeaumont.org and click the donate button at the top or bottom of the page. You can also mail your donation to CSL Beaumont, 802 Maple Avenue, Beaumont, California, 92223. Have a blessed day, and namaste.
Well, let's all stand up together and join me. Repeat after me. I am in a great high place. And I'm not coming down. Fire from heaven sparks my imagination. And supports me in everything I do.